rounding this out, leading back to kind of our last segment, the Primecast that launched yesterday, whatever. Primecast episode number 31.
I don't know why I pointed at myself.
I don't know why either.
Woo! This man right here.
It's thumbs up, man. What are you talking about?
Anyway, we're going to go over some of the changes in there, and then we'll talk about that, and then that'll be pretty much it. So we've already gone through the trenchers because they were in the previous Insider.
Sort of.
Well, all it says is that assault is confirmed and smoke bomb separate itself.
Sure, whatever.
So that stuff we already know. The Ironclad. So he's now 12 points.
Which is exactly double what he is now, I think.
Yes, I think so. And his Quake Hammer now knocks down any models. So first off, it's a special attack, actually.
Are you sure it's a special attack?
That's what they said in the Primecast.
Because I just didn't see it written down.
Fair enough. When you do that special attack, any model within 4 inches, not including the Ironclad, gets knocked down. So it's like this big area of like, fuck off, everyone falls down.
Everyone, friend and foe?
It just says
other than the
Ironclad.
Ironclad. So yeah, it seems like it.
I mean, so you probably don't want to Quake Hammer your own guys, but
why not?
But the thing is, that gives the Ironclad like some actual significant utility that it never had before.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
or at least that's guaranteed.
It's just bigger. Like its Tremor Hammer now is like 2 inches.
Yeah, but I don't think it's guaranteed. Is it? I think it's on a crit.
No, it's a special action.
What is it? Okay.
And I believe it's actually a special action on the model, not the weapon. So right now, I think you can do it on a charge. I'd have to double check, but
okay. Well, either way, all models within 4 inches and not including the Ironclad.
That's pretty big. Now, is it within 4 inches of the target, or is it in a 4-inch AoE?
I think it's within 4 inches of the Ironclad, not including himself.
That's pretty huge.
Yeah, that's the way I understand it. Maybe it's wrong. The second thing that they mentioned was tough can only be utilized when the model is currently standing, so not when they're knocked down. If the model's knocked down, they no longer benefit from tough.
Which, I mean, makes sense, if only from like a frustration point of view.
Well, you can't just like RNG forever. And, you know.
Although, like I said this to you earlier, but like it makes tough feel a lot worse if you still have to roll like a 5 or 6 to tough it out.
Yeah,
when you're standing
that we don't know. I mean, the assumption is
sure.
the same, but maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, like I would like to see that coupled with like either tough is like on a 3+ or something, or you're always tough when you're standing up. Because if you're always tough when you're standing up, it just takes 2 hits to kill you. I think
that's the case.
But like, you run the risk of that being too strong.
Well, it also means that knockdown's a more significant thing.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like that means that your Ironclad can knock down some trenchers or some trolls, and then just have something else come in and coup de grace.
Or just have the Ironclad buy attacks.
Well, yeah, it's only gonna be able to reach 1 or 2 probably though.
He might have reach.
Who knows?
Or he might have 2-inch melee.
Good. Who knows?
So yeah, there's that. Then they kind of went in on mostly faction by faction. So the first one was Signar. Second one was Trolls. They talked about Warders and Champions in that the problem with them previously is they were homogenized, kind of doing the same thing. Now, Warders are going to be extremely durable and Champions are going to be extremely hard-hitting, but they're not going to both have both.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
And then they mentioned that Far Strike will be is now limited to range of self, so it's no longer gives snipe. It just gives self buff of plus
Interesting
inches.
I wonder if it's still called Sniper, if it's like Far Strike is a different thing.
Well, it's called Far Strike.
I know, but what I'm saying is I wonder if it gives you Snipe, and Snipe is now 2 inches.
They said that it used to be Snipe, so my assumption is no.
Okay.
Now it's only range self, and I believe that I'm not.
I think it's 2 inches. I'm pretty sure.
I think it's 2 inches.
I think it got reduced to 2 inches.
So that was the big things for Trolls. Menoth, there are actually significant changes to Menoth in that there's a mat boost across the board for most Warjacks so they become mat 6 instead of mat 5. However, Choir no longer allows you to hit more accurately. However, they still grant additional strength.
Yeah, because like the thing is like Choir did too much.
Yeah,
really just did too much.
And it was like you had to take them in every list, pretty much. I mean,
I wonder what I'm interested in what the infantry upgrades are going to be like for them, because they really played infantry horde well.
So they talked about how
infantry horde was amazing.
So right? they talked about how all of the units need to be different.
Yeah.
Men of Jacks were always shit.
Well, the thing is, they were shit with an asterisk because they were like, they had to be worse than other Jacks on the baseline because they had Choir boosting them.
Yeah.
They had an invisible +2 to all of their attacks. Like, it was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
insane.
So then they mentioned cavalry now has a reposition distance. All cavalry will get it. So it used to be like the 5-inch reposition that light cav had now.
But all cavalry.
All cavalry has it. However, they mentioned that as an example, Vengers have a 3-inch reposition move. So the assumption is that light cav still has a 5-inch, but
or even more. More. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. And the other thing is like they could in theory change that too. Within like they could have some heavy cav have 3, some heavy cav could have 5 as like a strength within the heavy cav. Like they'd maybe not hit as hard, for example.
Yeah, I don't know.
But who knows?
So I mean, I really like that. I really like because the thing is like they needed to do something to make cavalry, like heavy cavalry especially, feel like a fast-moving thing, even though they're heavy.
I also think that they might just abolish heavy and light cavalry, and in favor of just saying like all cavalry have reposition and like go on.
I was gonna say they did mention heavy and light cavalry, so I'm assuming they didn't change that. But I mean,
but they could just be referring to that colloquially too. They might, because the thing is that's the same as the thing with warjacks we talked about earlier. That's rules that are inbuilt to heavy cav and light cav. Whereas, like, warjacks used to be constructs as an inbuilt thing. So you could easily have that just on the card. You could be like, you could give heavy cav impact attacks as a rule and, like, stuff like that. And then you just have reposition to give the light cav their reposition.
Yeah, that's fair. Circle's Ravager Chieftain gains an ability called Mass Carnage, which gives overtake for a turn, and also the unit gives the dudes vengeance. That's
like super ridiculously good, actually.
Well, depending on what the new vengeance is going to be.
Sure, but like, well, also overtake.
Yeah.
Because overtake in the rules right now is when you kill something, you get to move an inch. And Tharn Ravagers right now are dudes that eat hearts that can buy extra attacks with reach.
Yep.
So if you've got like if you have overtake as like a mini feat,
I think it's a mini feat. Mass Carnage is a mini feat.
Yeah, sure, but like even if you have it as a mini feat, like, okay, we get to charge. We're pretty fast because we're light. Like we're the lightest heavy infantry in the game, and then you actually get to keep getting in there further. That could be really interesting.
And also, Tharn Ravager becomes a little cheaper, is what they say. That's all they said about it.
That makes sense because like they're heinously expensive right now.
The big thing is that they wanted all units to be viable choices tactically, and they're redefining the roles of some of those units.
I really like that.
Me too.
Because like that is the one thing, like even more so than making the Warcasters unique and differentiated, which I think is important, don't get me wrong. But like I felt that there was just, it's dumb that there's some units that are just like, oh, why would I take this?
Exactly.
Like I'm really hoping, like I'm going to speak mostly from a Circle's perspective because that's what I play. But like I'm really hoping that there's a reason to take Reeves besides Epic Morvana sometimes having some bullshit Warwolf synergy.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like Circle has 4 different ranged units. And of those 4, like 1.5 see play. So I'm sure this is the same for other factions too. Like trenchers look a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
Even just the baseline trencher infantry than the ones now. So I'm really looking to see that they've done that for all factions.
From the changes that we're aware of, it does look like that's the case.
And that's really cool. Like I'm looking forward to seeing more. Privateer has definitely done a good job of getting me on the hype train.
Yeah, fair enough. So then we've got Kador. The Conquest. They didn't say a lot about him, but they did say that he now has high explosive on the blasts, which allows.
This is on the nipple guns, by the way.
Yeah, which is a POW 10 blast, and it does not get halved for indirect hits.
Which is really cool. I'm curious to see whether that high explosive becomes just a general rule.
I think it is,
and it makes sense. Like it's cool to see that on like purposefully built AOE things.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I'm not a huge fan of how the POW is halved on blast weapons in general. I do sort of understand it being like, you have this big, large attack that just happens to be a blast. So I really like the idea of this high explosive rule where you take weapons that are intentionally just meant to be blast damage with lower POW.
Yeah.
And then you put that rule on them and suddenly they're actually doing their job.
Yeah. Well,
instead of having to be a POW 20 to have the same.
Well, exactly. Like a POW 10 is going to kill like trencher infantry armor 13. I mean, POW 10 will obliterate them.
Yeah.
But, if it was like half POW, then that's At first,
So it's half power of like a POW 12 is what they are now. So it'd be POW 6.
Yeah, which isn't like you need an 8 on 2 dice. It's not gonna be.
I really like that, and I hope that shows up on a lot of purpose-built blasts.
Mana Wars have been retooled, so they are considered to be very heavy armored.
I don't even play Khador. I want Mana Wars to be the most disgustingly broken unit in the game.
So what they've said,
like legitimately just overpowered as fuck.
So what they've said is they're now amongst the heaviest infantry in the game. They didn't say specifically that they were the heaviest infantry in the game, but whatever. Most heavy infantry are now down to 5 wounds or boxes rather than the 8, but Mana Wars are still at 8 and they're repairable. They may have already been repairable. I don't remember. I don't think so. I think that's a new thing.
They weren't repairable, but you could take an officer for your repair corps that made them made that repair group allowed to repair them.
So now that they're just repairable,
which
by
is cool.
default. The Shock Trooper Officer Command grants the cannot be moved, cannot be knocked down,
which is really cool
thing. So they're going to be like this invincible wall,
iron wall. That is super cool. I mean, even if they
Russian faction,
the big iron wall of fuck off.
Well, and it redefines the roles of like the heavy infantry, really reinforcing what they're supposed to do.
Well, yeah,
because I mean, in a lot of cases, it just wasn't the case.
Anything about Beatbuck and Rocksteady?
Not yet.
We haven't made a Scorn yet.
Scorn's coming up actually. That's all we know about them so far. Scorn. The only thing we know about Scorn right now is story-wise, they're significantly lower powered, and they're going to be. They are kind of getting fought on all sides for area that they've taken. I believe that was what they said. And also, Immortals now grant souls, so you can have an undead army sense. that is fueled by souls in Scorn now.
Well, yeah.
Whereas that wasn't possible before.
Yeah.
Crix, that's all they said about Scorn. That was it. So we'll move on to Crix. Crix is kind of interesting because they've said one of 3 things have happened, although they won't specify why, lore-wise, like fluff-wise. Either Torek has been wounded, he's eaten another dragon, or he's been destroyed.
He hasn't been destroyed. You can rule that one the fuck out.
Well, fair enough.
I'm just saying.
Now, traditionally, they also said that Crix traditionally has been an infantry sort of heavy faction, and because part of the changes to power up and some of the other rules, Crix now plays a bit more of a combined arms game. They're not going to be the just straight infantry faction.
Well, they
anymore.
never really should have been.
No, they shouldn't.
They have fucking soul-powered warjacks. Come on.
But that is something that they explicitly worked towards. So that's cool because I like a lot of the Crix warjacks.
I agree.
It's just you would never take them because the infantry is so strong.
Well, you take some, but only up to your warjack points.
Exactly.
Makes sense because they need to make money, right? They need to sell the range.
Well, when I had Crix, I sold my Crix all to another guy. When I had Crix, I had a bunch of warjacks. So, I mean, I might not be the exception, but I really like the way Crix warjacks look too.
Same here, but it would have been nice to be able to use them, right?
Outside of Morta Nebra.
Yeah.
Right.
Legion. So apparently, according to the fluff, Everblight faced and evaded extinction. So they still are a faction. That's nice.
No, it's not. Fuck you.
However, they said that the frenzy mechanics has been retooled so that it matters. And although Legion is still going to be the faction that runs the most beasts the most efficiently, because the rebalance fury manipulation, they just can't do it as much anymore, and you can't mitigate fury management entirely anymore. So Legion becomes again a more combined arms option than it was previously.
I mean, I think it's reasonable to play a unit of infantry.
Yeah.
Instead of not.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Fuck you.
And apparently there are new models that are disgusting both visually and game mechanics wise that'll be coming out very soon. That's all they said about
those. Are they still mutated by whatever it was?
Oh, yeah.
What was it, the mutation thing?
Everblight.
Basically, you have Everblight's kind of soul power that's created blood monsters that look mutated and fucking weird.
Well, yeah, he's a dragon who can not take physical form if he doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
He can just live in goop and blood and stuff.
Yeah. So
so he takes a piece of his soul and he stabs important people.
Always like that. That's the only reason why I went to those guys first, because of the fluff.
Another thing about Legion fluff is apparently Rias and Seiren are reaching they call it reaching a new sort of level in their relationship, and that is more of an adversarial relationship. They're no longer always like Rios and Saren, the twins that are together and all the time. They're now,
which is interesting because the latest incarnation of them is a duo unit, Warcaster unit.
Now there's something's going on. Something happened in the fluff. I don't know yet, but they're now at odds. So that's interesting.
Well, I think that's interesting because it means that they'll stop with the fucking babying. Like, sure, you can have Saren 1 and Rias 1 that can have each other as channelers, which will never get used. And that you can have the pair of them, which will have each other as channelers, which does get used. But then you can have, the new versions of them, which don't give a shit about each other.
One thing
Fluff-wise, has anyone ever managed to undo the power of the dragon over the souls?
I don't think so.
Not that I'm aware of. Although one interesting thing about the fluff that you'll probably appreciate is prior to now, they had a rule in place for the fluff riders that none of the main characters could ever die. That rule has been rescinded, and now whatever happens in the fluff is canon. So
I like that too.
They are looking at it in terms
of... you get that whole stale story.
None of the main characters except Sturgis can die.
Well, fair. But apparently, they're looking at permanently killing heaps.
I wonder if they'd remove the rules for them too.
No, that would be dumb.
I mean, you can't.
That would make sense from a fluff standpoint, but that would now you can't use this model that you paid money for.
Yeah. So the thing that I like is that there is going to be a separation between the fluff and the game to a certain extent, which is nice because
because there's no fluff in the game anymore. It's going to be in books, little novels inside.
But the thing that I like about that is that you're no longer beholden to the fluff can go its own course and explore other ideas. You're no longer beholden to what's strictly played in the game, which is nice.
And the fluff can bring you new models still, but it doesn't restrict things from happening.
Exactly.
And it just makes fluff pointless if no one's ever going to die. It's like an episode of the A-Team.
Yeah.
Let's go out with our auto guns and just spray the shit out of these soldiers. We're supposed to be crack commandos, and yet even though we can make vehicles blow up, everyone always used to crawl away alive.
Yeah.
Right.
Retribution. So Myrmidons used to be able to could regen their shield generators and stuff like that. However, nobody ever did it because you had to spend focus to do it.
Yeah.
Now they're saying that the power up rule gives that as an option. So chances are
instead of giving them focus.
No, you still give them focus as the power. The power up still gives them the one focus, but because you don't necessarily need to do something with them at all times, they said that in their playtest basically. The people used the regen option more often than they did previously.
Well, yeah, because of their free focus.
Exactly.
So why not?
So that's still a thing on Myrmidon Jacks. They said Vire Jacks. Well, they still have a bunch of extra health, but there's no change there.
Weren't the Myrmidons also the name for Achilles guys? His buddies? His
probably.
Buddies?
I don't know if it was Achilles, but yes.
It was Achilles.
Sure. Yeah,
Greek. Achilles was Greek, right? Brad Pitt?
I do know that Myrmidon was a term for...
his boys.
Yeah. I didn't know if it was for specifically them, but...
So that's basically it on the ret side. Convergence. So again, confirmed to be a minor faction, not a fully supported faction.
Yeah, fuck you, robots.
Inductions confirmed to be limitless. So in that...
Yeah, fuck you, everyone else but robots.
So you can channel it through as many warjacks as you could possibly have.
It's interesting now because that's a much higher skill cap mechanic if I'm reading it right.
Now, however, they said the corollary still works pretty much the same way it does. So it's still a battery. You can still load it up with focus and then just go nuts on a turn.
Yeah, which is really cool. The other thing, even if you don't load it up with focus, the way that the corollary works, if you can spend the focus on literally anything, it makes for another piece that you can jump focus between.
Yeah. So that's exciting for convergence, except the minor faction thing. Minions, pigs and gators are working together. So there are probably some limitations, but not very many. They're now a faction as minions.
Yeah, I think they mentioned that.
Same thing for mercs.
I still think they mentioned the battle group limitation. Typically, if you have a gator caster, you can probably only take.
They didn't say that in the Primecast.
I know,
maybe.
I know, but
So it says mercs, the shackles are off. There are certain restrictions, but those are very limited. And then the final piece of thing from the Primecast today was that War Room will launch on June 12th.
Which is with the rules.
Which is with the rules, so that makes sense. Which isn't. I mean, that's not surprising. But
I'm just puckering my butthole for how much I have to spend to upgrade my decks.
I had a whole episode on why I'm pissed off about War Room, so we'll see. I mean, my entire opinion of that is tempered by how much I have to pay. Yeah, fair enough.
If it's $2 a deck, I'm whatever. Okay, fine.
So I mean, all of this stuff really reinforces a lot of the changes that I wanted to see in the new edition.
Yeah, me too.
I wanted people who started off with minions and mercs to not be totally fucked because they have no options to you like the Gator models, right? No, you don't like the gator models. You hate the gator models.
Trollbloods. I hate gator models.
All right, well, whatever. So never mind about the gators.
Trollbloods.
Trollbloods. It's all about the Trollbloods. Fair.
Actually, with all this new stuff coming out, if you could get inside Privateer Press and say, "Hey, I want this race to come out, a new race."
Well, there have been rumors, and I don't know where they
rumors,
started.
What would you like to see? New race.
That's a good question. I mean,
I would like to see Legion of Everblight turned back into good people, but with a different aesthetic and gameplay, and the nemesis of Everblight.
Those are basically Retribution of Saga.
No, those guys.
Pretty much.
I know, but they're basically the same race.
Yeah.
Same race, but I want to see them be different because it wouldn't go back to just being them. I want something different.
I mean, I want a new horse.
Still mutated in some ways, but
so you want like post Everblight.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I want a new Hordes race because I think we have enough people and robots. I don't. I like the idea of what
dinosaur based.
Well, I like the idea.
That'd be rad as fuck. Actually,
I like the idea of what's been rumored.
Yeah. So actually, the zoo has been rumored.
Yeah, which are the
zoo is like another continent basically.
Okay.
It's where this the race of like there's a one solo in the game called Totem Hunter, and he's basically confirmed to come from zoo. He's basically like think about like Predator from the movies, except he's kind of a lizard guy.
Sick.
So
it's like a lizard fish predator guy.
Kind of rumored that the Croak Raiders are also from
race
zoo.
from that. That'd be amazing.
So like I actually read like the dinosaur idea has my 12-year-old boner
totally
enormously huge because it could absolutely like there are so many ways to make that work. You have like velociraptors as lights. You have like fucking Stegosaurus and like I don't even know like because the thing is you want your gargantuan to be the T-Rex or the like the Indominus, right? Like you want your gargantuan to be the ridiculously huge evil thing. Yeah, like the Archangel, except it doesn't suck.
Well, it might not suck now.
I know it probably won't. That's not the point. What I'm saying is like it. Oh my god! I already like fantasy. My race was Lizardman.
Right.
Yeah.
So like. Boing. This is like the dinosaur idea.
Cool. I mean,
I would jump ship from Circle in like half a fucking second.
Yeah, but you're looking for a reason.
No, if they gave me a fucking T-Rex, I would jump ship. I don't care what I was. If I was still playing Crix, I would jump ship in half a fucking second for T-Rex.
I think that would be really cool. I just if they were going to go the dinosaur route, I just hope that they.
I don't want like Earth dinosaurs. I want them to be like based on dinosaurs.
Yeah. No, seriously. When I say T-Rex, I just mean like big bitey thing that's huge. I don't actually mean like literally T-Rex.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. And I think that would be cool, and I think it would be a really good way to do it.
They'd have amazing, so much.
But we have only the rumor that another Hordes race will come out.
That's not even confirmed. It's rumored for
I'm not sure where
Lock and Loader Gen Con this year.
Really?
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
And like I would spend so much money on that. Privateer Press, if you're listening, I would spend so much money on that. Give me my fucking dinosaurs.
But that wraps up our discussion. So
like actual dinosaurs, not just fucking Legion dinosaur likes.
Okay. No, they don't count. That's just sport.
Yeah. No, like actual dinosaurs.
They call them dragons, like blood of the dragon.
With fucking scales and like claws and like eyes and look like things that look like they could actually be real beings, except they're giant fucking awesome shredding dinosaurs. Oh my god.
Okay. So anyway,
like the Ankylosaurus model would be amazing.
There we go. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more of this guy.
Up. Okay, bye.
All right then.
In next week's episode, we're going to discuss why Mike faps off in the introduction video.
We should bring Jin back more often, even though he's talking about me fapping off in the introduction video.
Come check out the Connection Games and Comics. We have the largest selection of Warmachine and Hordes miniatures in the Lower Mainland. Warmachine Wednesdays and Sundays, with tables and terrain to play your game.